apologies about the reflection there, but I can try and... Well, the tank might look different, and that's simply because it's a different tank. This is my big tank. This is, I believe, 300 litres, but I actually think it could be bigger. It's a dual Rio 300, I think. The Rio might indicate it's 300 litres, but it actually seems bigger based on stuff I've had to get for it. This big massive plant here was in my little tank. I don't know, well, I actually moved. That's the reason it's all in here now. I had to move, well, didn't have to move house, but I did. And it sounded like it made more sense instead of bringing 2 tanks over. Well, I did a small shrimp tank which was around 100 litres, and the plan was long term to stick them all into the big tank. There is 2 plex in here, but you never see them. Oh, and there's a lot of snails now. There is a Pandagara. He's in here somewhere. I am getting a lot of snails now. I had to manually rescue the snails, and I guess I must have moved less than 10, but there is way more than 10. And up in that corner there is a lot of snail babies. I'm trying to get things to focus. I don't know why, but it can make your eyes feel funny when you, for example, come up close. You might spot a shrimp or a snail. I've got some Amano snails as well. Oh, Amano shrimp in here somewhere. There's one. Long tentacles. There's another one sneakily there. There's 2 in the shot. There's a baby red cherry at the back. Yeah, this whole massive plant was in the small tank, which was 1/3 of the size of this tank, and that's why I don't know if it's actually still growing now, because I haven't rooted it down into the substrate or anything like that. But this is a separate piece which has been kinda planted using the bogwood. I got 3 separate pieces of bogwood. That one there, obviously the big one which has got java moss on the top. I think this is just stuck to it somehow. And this was a good plant. I can't even remember it might be wisteria, but the roots are there, and because I was just putting things in there to make sure they didn't die, I didn't really take any notice of how I was grounding it, and so I held it down with this bogwood at an angle, as can you see, and now there is some nice shoots coming up. So hopefully that's still going to grow that way. I don't know if this will just suddenly, well, if it will just start anchoring itself down. I did hold it quite nice with that bogwood there, but it's grown quite nicely. I've lost my fertilizer as I'm still unpacking, so I'm actually I don't know if shrimp, you can't really tell, but for example, that little baby one there is very red, and you can see that one just floating in the background now. That is basically like a wild shrimp gone back to its roots. And as this one you can see here, it is, I'm trying to get, it looks like it should be shedding. Oh, there's a little one just next to it, a wild one. That's what I don't understand. I didn't know whether the little one there was some sort of crazy fry from the Amano, but I've read that it's very hard to breed Amanos because they need different water conditions to the cherries. And so I've just keep topping up the mineral stones. There's one there, and there's one just over the back there, you can see in the corner. And there was one on the top of that shelf just there, but that's... Oh, she's got some eggs there. I seen one yesterday and I thought she was going to lay the eggs, but no such luck. There is a lot of buried shrimp. I was going to tell you about this one. I put a lot of mineral stones in because you can... It's what I mean. They seem to go very red, and I don't know if that's because they're about to shed. And there's got that white line on the back where, well, the white line to go across the body, as if they're going to break the shell. There's Mr. Amano. But and this bubble system at the back, this was originally coming up through the bogwood because there's a nice big hole, but it seems to have moved. I don't know if the snails have moved it. There is one big rabbit snail in here somewhere, and then there's a lot of smaller ones. I actually bought some from a store. I think they were called magic snails or something like that, but then I have others that I'm not exactly sure what they are. They come out of nowhere. I think they might have been called these little guys on the back walking along. They do keep the place nice and clean. I would like to trim this mass, but I'm not sure where it starts and ends. It has actually made a nice big thick I don't know what this looks like. It's growing around something, but it's not. That's just a thick twisted amount of plant, because my water current comes back in here through the filter, and it almost looks like it's just wrapped around itself like a big vine, so it's nice and strong. Oh. That was where my plant originally was, and when I dropped it in, it just unraveled itself. I didn't want to start messing with it again. You can usually see the rabbit snail in there, but for such a big snail, he does disappear. Oh, that's like there's a snail stuck in the pipe there. I thought I would actually like a current of bubbles coming up through this to agitate it a bit instead of just sitting there. It was turning in a big ball. I guess that's how it has grown actually, because it was twisting nicely there, getting some aeration from the current, which is just up there. Where are these snails? Yeah. I'm not keen on these little vines or these little shoots. I guess they're kind of like roots. But the shrimp have not a lot of places in there to hide. It's nice. It's nice and dense. But this cherry shrimp's pretty big, it is. I've read that if it's got like a white stripe down the back, that's usually a female, or is that the way around? But there's a nice little gathering here. I do see sometimes that the Amanos are quite bullyish sometimes when it comes to food. They will knock the cherries out of the way. They don't play nice. I mean, it's not like there's that white line down the back of him. It's a shame I can't focus completely. Oh. They're just chipping away. This is growing quite nice. it seems as though they're redder now they're in the big tank. In the smaller tank, I don't know if that's actually a thing. In the smaller tank, they weren't as red as this. Well, they didn't appear to be as red as this. There's a nice stripe. But now they're in the big tank, they seem to have become more vibrant. If only I could get those bubbles. I don't want to start agitating things and messing with things, but it would be nice for them bubbles to be more centered. So this is an update. Oh, my heater moved. It went over to the intake pipe because I've lost one of my clips in the move. I guess they're not expensive, but out on a, what's that leaf called? I like the way this one's turned out. They've ate it completely, or it's degraded, and it's made like a little branch, which I'm hoping, because it's stuck in the bogwood, that the plants grow across and use it as like a frame. That'd be nice. But this doesn't. Do you think this needs trimming? This. I'm sure some people are like, oh, I wish my plants would grow like that. I mean, I'll be happy with this, but when you come over this side, it's just a jungle. This is like a jungle, and that's just like a little nature centre. My moss balls. I didn't realise how many I had of those because there's obviously separated between two tanks. But there's two there. There's one there. I think there's about 5 or 6 in here. I still got some more gravel. This black gravel to put around the back, and I simply use that one because it's lighter for the snails to move through. Whereas this one, I'm sure it's a bit more of a challenge for them. But there is a lot of snails. I was wondering, simply because this is so big, is there any sort of creature I could get that would slow, like the size of a shrimp, but it would actually slowly eat the grass, the plants? If you know anything I could stick in my tank, I bet there's some snails that would do that actually. Because, you know, I don't know. These snails are amazing. They float around. Let me see if I can find one. There's usually, they climb up into the plants. I don't even know how they get up there. There's a little baby shrimp just there. I spy. Oh, there's actually a tiny, tiny one just there. Can you see that? There. Look at the size of that guy. Huh. And if I zoom out, that's how small he is. Just when you mention something, you can't find it. And then when you just... Oh, there's one down there. There's a snail. It's just come to me. I think I was told that I have bladder snails. Bladder snails, and I'll have to check the websites, but magician snails, I don't know. And another thing I didn't realise, but this background, apparently it's got a completely different image on the back, which I didn't realise until we was moving. This tank was so heavy. I tried to keep around a couple of inches of water so that I could still keep my little creatures in here, my little house mates, but it was just too heavy. You don't remember how heavy a tank is until you've got to move it, and it was quite a simple move. It could have been worse. It could have been stairs if I was living in a flat, if I had multiple doorways to go through, but literally had to go out 2 doors to leave the old house and 2 doors to come into the new house. But it was much harder than... Oh, look at these two guys. These two kissing. See, their colours are great. What are they doing? Are they on a date? No, that was it. That was quick. That will see us again. But yeah, that's an update on this tank. This is the only tank I'm using now. The other tank is just sitting in the garden, empty. Oh, and also, no idea how this happened. I used to have a catfish in this tank. We have no idea where he's gone. He's just vanished. Unless he has just been hiding forever. This bogwood wasn't in here. The tank was empty, so he couldn't have been hiding in the bogwood. Drained this tank with a little pipe. There's no way he would have fitted in the other pipe to get if he got sucked out. There's no way he would have got sucked out because the tank was, when the pipes were just too small. And so, with no idea. Look at that snail up there. Look at they climb. I do see them on top of each other sometimes. As you can see, there's a little baby one on the top of there. There's that old little saying that they move really snail's pace. But snails, from what I'm watching in this tank, they move pretty damn fast. I think that's some this that I put in there yesterday for my shrimp. They do love this stuff, but it's quite deceptive because you see it's a nice tub. There's a bit of a yeah, in the bottom, and so when you do think it's very full when you first get it. It's quite nice, but it's quite hard to. Oh, there you can see. It's leveled. It's literally halfway full on the side with the shadow, but then you see at the bottom it's very deceptive. You haven't got half a tub there. You've got less than half. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. I could just talk for ages about this and just sit here and watch. I got some. They love this stuff as well. What is it? Shrimp barley. It's quite good because you throw it in there and this just expands. I put half a cat, break it into halves and just throw it in different places. But I've got some of that on order as well because they do seem to enjoy it. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this up. I might do another update soon when I get some more stuff through, or if I do trim these plants, or if anyone can recommend anything that I could do to the plants. Because like I said, there's no idea where that starts and finishes, and it's just too much. Or I will look into what snail I can get that will nibble away at this slowly and trim it down for me. As I said, I've got bladder snails. I got a rabbit snail in there somewhere. Where is he? He's probably climbing around the back. I mean, as I've been speaking, this guy is just off on the side already. And they do climb. So, once again, I said it a few times, I'm going to wrap this up, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and subscribe. And I've heard that you can turn on notifications if you'd like to be updated when I do another random video. I haven't got any set days to make videos. It's just when I'm sitting here and I'm watching. That plant there is mossing up nice. Oh, and that's gravel. I don't know if I like it or not when I sprinkle my gravel back in, because I didn't want to dump it all in, and it's kind of cascaded down my bogwood. I don't know if it's a good touch or not. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching. Ciao.